Boom. Did you know, Scott?
Hello, everybody.
You and I right now are a full 45 seconds in the future from our listening
Wow.
audience.
And you're kind of quiet.
Why?
Your volume is low.
Why? Oh,
I can't help you with that.
StreamYard. What the fuck,
Are
StreamYard?
you
What
are you mean restream?
Restream? Yeah, what the fuck are they doing now? They must have fixed something because I didn't have this problem before. How is it now?
A lot better.
Okay. Yeah, I turned it up. Jesus Christ. I mean, it takes it like 30 seconds to adjust my mic volume. And I can't sit here and lick my mic. I mean, it's like my mic's in my mouth right now. Blah, blah, blah.
You just need to get one of those big old, disc shaped announcers mic.
I need to buy a new fucking mic that I can turn. And
Or
in the
radio
end,
announcer.
Jesus Christ, fucking Mac, do something with your audio so you can adjust the volume. I mean, they have this MIDI thing, right? But I've got everything maxed out and it still ain't loud enough. It's like they're afraid they're going to offend somebody or what? Like, what the fuck? Okay, let me take a look at MIDI. Maybe we got a problem on MIDI. Okay, Logitech, headphones. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll put my headphones on. Hi, everybody out there. We're working on stuff here.
That's right. We love to expose our listeners to
Our
behind
inner
the scenes production issues.
right.
By the
Okay.
way, the title, if you'll notice, of this stream is Martin Iles Babbles On. And in case you didn't work it out for yourself, this is a officer of the Answers in Genesis, quote unquote, ministry, whose last name is very easily anagrammable into lies, which I
Yeah,
thought was hilarious.
that is.
It's like maybe he's playing a joke on Ken Ham, and he I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, why hire a guy who people can anagram in 1 second and make fun of his name? It's like he doesn't have a chance.
Hey, Scott, I just found something.
What does I find?
Volume. How's that?
Volume's good. You've quite voluminous,
Voluminous.
voluminous, voluminous.
Voluminous. I'm going to unvolume a little bit. Okay, let's get our levels down. We want to equalize. How am I now?
Say something.
Something?
Wow, I must be a prophet. You sound fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, quit fucking complaining. You're distracting me.
You will hear no complaints as long as you are hearable.
Okay, as long as I'm hearable.
Oh,
Hearable?
we have some sage advice from Nerdy.
Friends, don't let friends use me. Oh, nerdy. I'm telling you, once you switch over to Mac from Windows, you realize that you are a far superior person. And like like, uh, you're just better than everybody else. I'm
I
sorry.
agree that when people get Macs, they do think they are a far superior person.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, think they are? There's, there's only one objective truth in this matter, and that's, they are. They are. They are. In fact, a Macocracy is kind of like what I'm shooting for. That we need legislation so that the government, all the people use Macs. No more
Everything.
Windows.
Yeah.
Everything.
Okay.
We have
Even
to
like
pass
the
laws.
supercomputers that the NSA is using to monitor us now should be Macs.
Yeah, it's the word of Jobs. I mean, the book of Jobs.
Ooh, that's in the Bible.
Yeah, the book of Jobs. You have to uh, you have to listen to Steve and get a Mac, and then you'll be better than everybody, and then everybody will be equal when all you losers are as good as me, right?
That's a paradise right there.
That's what we're shooting for. Yeah, bring all you losers up to my level. Anyway, yeah, what's Windows? Yeah, Linux. Linux probably. Well, fuck Linux. The problem is, you ask a Linux guy, how do you do this? And then you hear him typing for about 15 minutes,
Hmm.
and then
Well, they're just the kind of people who like to string things together with
yeah,
baling wire and bubble gum and of course some duct tape.
yeah. Then he sends you this fucking thing that you remember in the comic books when they used to swear, and they used to have all the little, you know, punctuation symbols.
Yeah, you have the symbols
They
for
send
swearing.
you, yeah. You ask a Linux guy how to do something, and he's like, and then he sends you this like paragraph of punctuation symbols, and you're like, what the fuck is that? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Linux is pretty cool. You can do a lot of shit, but you got to learn it, and it takes, some
Yeah,
patience.
yeah, yeah. It's a DIY kind of setup.
DIY. What is
It's
this crap?
perfect for DIY computer people.
Yep. So I'm trying to figure out
Craig
what
Ferguson? No.
what.
Well, it looked like Craig Ferguson for a minute.
Oh, hang on a second. I got to turn my fucking headphones down now. Oh, you got you.
By
Okay.
the way, the show Justified City Primeval has
Yes.
dropped on Hulu. So if you were a fan of Justified, starring Timothy Oliphant, then you may be excited to watch that mini series.
Yeah, but I want to caution everybody. If you are really a fan of Justified, you probably shouldn't watch this because there's only 2 episodes, and you're going to hate yourself when you get to the end of the second episode. And you have to wait for what? We have to wait for 5 more days
I
before we
know
get.
it's till the 26th, I think.
Yeah, and then like August for the fourth episode. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I had a hard time last night. I'm really mad at you for even telling me about it because I started watching. It's like I want more Raylan, more Raylan.
I have to say about that show, though, the soundtrack on it is amazing. They
Yeah.
get that right, and the cinematography,
Oh
it,
yeah.
it, it just adds just texture to just about every frame.
Yep.
Um, so I think people who like tough guy violence, like Justified, Contained, will really enjoy this particular miniseries.
Yep. And I hope I don't get into trouble for this, but if I ever turned gay, it would be because of Timothy Oliphant. He is,
I can understand that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he is just an attractive man. He is just.
I've told my son I have a man crush on Anson Mount from Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. Used
Yep.
to be on Hell on Wheels,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway,
This is a problem with the Mac. Special hard. Well, you can actually hook special shit up to it, but it's a fucking bitch, man. I got like 2 or 3 pieces of audio software that I'm working with, and if I hit one wrong button, nobody can hear the video no more, and blah blah. Okay, we got a video. We got a video.
you want to introduce this video?
Yeah, this is from May 15th, 2023, which is pretty current.
Very
It
current.
has 605,000 views. And this man, let's see, he used to work for some organization that raised money in Australia, and then he had a falling out with them after raising a tremendous amount of money for Christian causes. He is a lawyer, He is not an idiot. He is very clever in how he words things and how he does things. And he's the chief ministry officer now for AIG. Let me see here.
What a weird name for a.
Chief ministry officer at Answers in Genesis. Uh, and he is
If he's a smart man, yet he recites the kind of bullshit that AIG does, then he obviously thinks very little of his audience.
yeah.
He It's
He
very
had a,
disrespectful to knowingly peddle out bullshit to keep people sending money and doing thoughtless and unempathetic things to other people.
okay, this is telling what he did up until 2023 when he became the chief ministry officer. He was managing director of the Australian Christian Lobby.
Oh, there we go.
Now that is where the theocracy starts, boys and girls. And when you listen to this man, there's a whole lot of theocratic leanings going on here. Martin co-founded the Human Rights Law Alliance. Okay, assisting. Okay, well that's not bad. So legal support for people that for free speech and religion and all that. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. And he's a lawyer. He's got a, well, wait a minute. What is he? Is he a lawyer? Bachelor of Law. Okay, Master of Laws. I don't know if that makes you a lawyer or not.
Well, that's yeah. In Australia, they have a different system,
Yeah,
obviously. So I don't know,
really sure.
but yeah, he's a lawyer.
Most Christians don't know this about Babylon, is the title of our little topic today. Whoops. I got to change
You
something.
know, Babylon's been very well excavated, but still, I don't think that's the point he's making.
Yeah. Okay.
Surely the earth can't.
Well, where are we here? Yeah, I think maybe we should open with this. No, we'll open with this. Okay, let's just listen to him.
Start drawing some connections straight away. It is interesting, isn't it, that today, in our modern, sophisticated city, one of the most influential political movements is a movement that marches under the banner Pride. A banner that says, like Babel, I will exalt myself to make myself, my sense of identity, who I am, as great as possible, and to make the world revolve around that. And I will say, I am proud. Even...
Can we? All right, I said I wouldn't do this.
Yep.
Can we pause it?
No,
I've told you this story about me and my brother. One year, we were at my mom's going for a walk after a heavy holiday meal, walking around on a path around a fishing pond that was out behind her house. It was a city park, but it was located behind her house. And something about politics was said, and then he said something about homosexuals, and he says they talk like it's a badge of honor or something. When they talk about being gay and we're here, we're queer, we're not going away, or whatever the chant was. And well, I said to my brother, these people have been harassed, harmed, murdered, excluded, have lost jobs. That this is a very oppressed group of people who are saying, I'm not going to be ashamed of who I am, therefore I'm going to take pride in who I am. And so that's the good kind of pride that even Christians who preach against pride know exists. It's the kind of pride in your work, pride in your in yourself and your values. And there is a kind of pride you can have which is pretty close to the idea of positive self-esteem. And so gay pride is not the kind of sinful pride that he's trying to paint it as. What he's doing is really building a strong man. and that's what he's doing. He's going to be attacking it. So anyway, I just had to comment on that because this guy is Martin Lies, not Martin Iles.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A friend of mine and I were sitting around a fire last week talking about our lives. And this friend happens to be gay. And I've known him since he was 7 years old. And he was explaining how he is just sick to death of having to hide who he is and hide what he is and try to pander to other people's expectations of him. And he just wants everybody to leave him the fuck alone. That's what he wants.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, he too is confused by some things in the LGBTQ movement, but mostly he says, "I just want you to leave me the fuck alone, let me be who I am, and not expect me to present to you as anything other than who I am and what I am." In other words, leave me the fuck alone. And I think that theme will become important here as we listen to this asshole. So.
When it goes against what God has said. Now, that's not only pride, that's the next step from pride, which is rebellion. And we learn also that Babylon is rebellious at Babel because in her pride, she was defying God. You remember just prior to the Babel story, what does God command? He commands the people to spread out. And of course, what do they say? They say, oh, no, we're going to dwell here in this place and make a city, lest we be scattered abroad across the face of the earth. We're going to stay put.
Did you notice how he said she? Called Babylon she?
Well, I think he's using kind of a feminine reference to like a city or whatever. I think that's done
A little
in
later,
certain literature.
he
But
talks
remember, there's also the whore of Babylon, where where she represents Babylon.
a
And
little
that's in
later,
Revelation.
he talks about Revelations, and he talks about this demon that is a she, a her, and he refers to it. But I just think that's kind of interesting that they characterize this demon as a she. So anyway, oh, let's see if that's where are we at here? We're at 5:36. So let's go to 7 and see what he's got to say here.
Surely the earth can't cope. Surely the climate system will doom us all. Surely climate change will destroy the place in a matter of years. Surely overpopulation will ruin us. Surely the resources can't stand it. And notice we're very scared. And all of a sudden we have this problem. And this is an issue in Australia, you know. We have this phenomenon, and the child psychologists will tell you about it, where kids are walking out of the classroom, where of course it's all the climate extremist stuff, and they're walking into the psychologist's office, and what are they doing? They've got existential anxiety about the future of the planet.
Now, okay, if you were 10 years old today, would you feel really secure about the future of this fucking planet? Because oftentimes, like when I hear about the scorching heat wave in Phoenix, Arizona, I think, oh, well, I'm 72 years old. I'm probably going to die before it's 120 degrees in Minnesota. But if
That
you're
would be something.
okay, these kids are walking into the counselor's office and they're anxious. Maybe they fucking should be, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. This is one thing that, once again, it lets you know that he is a propagandist. He is just a
Right.
con artist and is totally trying to, pull one over on people, is because he acknowledges that, or he seems to imply here, that you just don't tell kids about climate change, and because it might make them feel things. And if they feel things, they might start becoming climate activists and encourage their parents, because you know how supportive parents are often of their children's, that they may not take the first step to go protest or whatever about climate change. But if their kids want to, they're going to go along to protect them and to say, hey, we support what you're doing. And so they're just basically seeming to want to lie to people. Once again, Iles is very anagrammable to lies, and that's what he's doing here.
Yep.
And guys, you'll probably hear me repeat this over and over and over. I just want people to know that this guy's a charlatan, and
Yeah, he's a clever one. He's a clever one.
yeah,
He does.
and this is propaganda. And look, what they're telling to what? How many people did you say viewed this particular video?
620,000 almost.
Wow, that's that's a lot more people than I've ever my voice has ever been able to influence.
I think it's because they saw the thumbnail and thought it was Doctor Who.
Yeah, if he reaches for his pocket, duck, because it's going to be that magic thingamadingy he has and waves around.
Yep.
Destroy, exterminate.
You make a good Dalek, man. Change your label to Dalek man.
Exterminate. But yeah, pride is one of the sins that the Catholic thing did. Pride, gluttony, whatever the rest are. So that's not even really in the Bible listed out that way, anyways. So
there's a section there's a section of Proverbs or songs that talks about the things that God hates, and one is arrogant.
But pride is also supposed to be good, so it's like, it's just cherry picking.
Well, there's pride that prevents you for fear of humiliation and looking bad, that keeps you from admitting when you're wrong or admitting when things need to change. And then there's like pride in a job well done. How no matter how humble a person you are, if you build a chair, and sand it down and treat the wood and it all fits together perfectly, and you've handmade a chair, you're going to have a sense of pride in the completion of that project.
Yeah, and, like any other thing, it's like if you have too much, it can be bad or whatever.
Exactly. It's a matter of balance, and of course, what you have with most fundamentalism is binaryism.
What happened there? Somebody came in.
I think Stephanie tried to get on, and maybe her connection isn't good, or maybe she's using.
Yeah, she disappeared.
Firefox instead of Chrome.
When did all this start? Because the Bible didn't actually say, the word homosexual. That was a later edit into the language. If you actually read it in context, like anytime it's talking about men being with men, it's talking about the priests and what they're supposed to do or not supposed to do,
or who's going to be the bottom. It's being the bottom. Really. Being the bottom is disgraceful. Being the guy on top is fine, or at least in the surrounding culture.
And then the Jews, they were like, well, there's nothing about lesbianism, so whatever, just remain silent on that. So it's really, but the all the laws were not for Gentiles, not for non-Jews. So none of the things that even if you could apply them actually do apply, because they were for the priests and things like that. And so it's like, it's not even talking about the sort of homosexuality that we have today, but they don't care, because that's what has been the doctrine, the popular doctrine. And I wonder when that doctrine started. I don't know when it started. But and then of course with Revelation, it's like, well, that's about King Nero, guys. Just let it go. Why? I don't know. But it's just, again, it's the doctrine that caught on for whatever reason, and he got nitwits like that saying, "Oh, it's bad. Oh, look how bad it is." And, whatever. you're, and then it's funny because you're not supposed to point out the flaws of someone else because you have a tree sticking out your eye.
Yeah, there's something insidious here in what he's saying, and it blends into a whole bunch of stuff in the entire talk, right? He's talking about pride, but what about, the contrast with that would be, well, it's very similar. Self-worth. I mean, self-worth is a feeling of peaceful acceptance of who you are and basically being okay with who you are, right? And that ain't fucking pride. I mean, that isn't quite what he's talking about. Like, pride would be like, oh, we're the Brusenacks and we're greater than the Smiths, and we're tough, and, I mean, or we're the Americans and all that shit. Yeah, a false sense of pride, right? Or maybe pride that borders on hubris. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there is absolutely nothing wrong with being okay with who you are and saying, this is my truth. I understand who I am. This is what I want. I'm okay with myself. And he's kind of picking on all that. And I'm not sure exactly where he's coming from. But he does say that man is flawed, man is imperfect, man is sinful, man is flawed. I mean, it's kind of a big thing with them, right? And they also, the climate change thing blends into this as well. And I'm trying to basically get kind of a meta view of some of this shit, right? But now the climate change thing, it's like, okay, man is imperfect and he's fucking up the world and he's, having sex with, other boys, and he's doing all this shit to the world, and he's bringing on, Babylon and the apocalypse. Yet they believe that man is not fucking up the climate. When it comes to the climate, they'll say that man can't possibly fuck that up, right? Man
Well,
is
it's
fucking.
God's domain, even though we were given in the Bible, you're given a domain over the land. So that means
Correct.
you're in charge of it. You're supposed to take care of it.
You're supposed to fuck it.
Yeah, well, no, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to take care of it. That's not, but so it can't possibly be that we don't know how to take care of it.
Yeah.
But on topic of the homosexual or the gay or whatever LGBT, whatever, I don't know anymore. There's too many letters to remember. But I'd heard about this, and okay, this is about a month ago that it got in the news. But at any rate, this town that's mostly majority Muslim had banned the pride flag because it offends their religion, and they have freedom of religion, so we can't have those gay flags around because that's against our religion to be gay. And I'm like, well, you're telling other people what to do that aren't part of your religion. Like, you can do whatever you want, you can self police yourself, but you can't police other people. And somebody had I heard about this through a video on YouTube, but somebody had gone down there and was interviewing people, what their thoughts were and whatnot. Um, I'm sure there's more other articles about this other than just this one that I found. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, the Muslims have this, their God just can't stand, people being showing the rainbow. How dare you steal God's rainbow? They can't stand gay, and
Gosh, light goes through drops of water, and they want to claim it for God.
well, yeah, I mean, but I mean that their God is so weak that, or that they have to ban a flag.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my, you guys, dude, just I'd be like putting up pictures of and be like, here's Muhammad, and be like, yeah,
Hey, real
bring that
quick,
back.
Speed, did you mean to pin that particular chat thing, that chat entry of Nerdy Rodents?
Which one?
The one that's pinned right now.
Pinned? I
Pinned.
don't.
Yeah,
I
pinned
don't
chat.
oh no. No, I
Oh,
didn't.
no. Okay.
I was trying to pin the link to
The
join.
link, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Remove.
So it's like, now I don't know if it's worse with the Muslim faith than it is the Christian faith, because the Christians have the evangels, and there's a subset of those that are really, really anti-gay or anti-homosexual, and then but the Muslim seems like it's like, I don't know that they have any sect or flavor of Muslim that is cool with or doesn't care about homosexuality. Like it's more ingrained in the Quran or something. I really don't know that much about Muslim stuff.
Well, it's
Uh,
kind of it's what a lot of these conservative Christians were talking about when we did a stream about how conservatives are losing their shit over Pride Month. I saw video after video where Christians were kind of saying, "Oh, it's in our face. Don't put it in our face. Don't
Yeah.
have parades. Don't have flags. Don't, you know." And it's like, well, you're fucking,
all
uh,
right, don't have crosses, you know. I mean, okay,
Well,
yeah.
wasn't that the chant? We're here, we're queer, and we're in your face.
yeah,
Way
yeah.
back when, yeah, that's the thing, that they want to be in your face,
Well,
so
I think
that
that the conservatives or Republicans or whatever, I think they do well to separate their party into twain and say, you guys, you're that whatever that new name is. That's the Christian version, and we'll be, this version that's just focused on the business and all that sort of, conservative type mentality that they do. That way
Right.
they can get away from the madness.
So a few years back, I drove from North Carolina to Minnesota, and I went across the Smokies and across Kentucky. And long in the distance, I could see this shining white cross, this gigantic, like towering, fucking 10-story white crosses right all over the place. And I would approach it as like, what the fuck am I looking at? And it would be some advertisement for a church. And then a quarter of a mile later, there'd be a sex shop advertisement,
yeah,
which I thought was really because we don't. I think we have a few billboards like that in Minnesota, but we don't have gigantic crosses and we don't have a lot of them. But down in Kentucky, that's all I saw. You see a cross, then a sex shop, then a cross, then a sex shop. And I thought, are these two things linked somehow? There's
oh
some
yeah,
connection.
definitely. The high, like, where is the pornography usage the highest? It's in these highly religious fundamentalist communities.
And
Yeah.
it turns out most of the time when these guys are complaining about homosexuality, they turn out to be homosexuals.
Yeah.
What was the one that got a lot of attention way back now?
I don't know who you're talking about. You
Yeah, yeah.
tapping shoes under a stall.
No, like he was a big evangel, and he caught paying for male
Oh, I
prostitution.
know who you're talking about. He had, I can see his face, but I can't remember his
Yeah,
name.
I can't remember, but it was a while back. But yeah,
Hopefully because he's totally disgraced and out of the picture. But
I'd like to find this, but there was a Texas town basically that had the highest rate of teen pregnancy in the United States back about 10, 15 years ago. And it turned out to have a super, super conservative Christian program where teens were supposed to pledge, not to kiss before marriage or whatever. And it turned out to be the highest pregnancy in the fucking country.
yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's everything that they try is like the opposite of what actually works. It's so weird. It's just so weird. It's like teach
Well,
abstinence. That makes people want to have sex more. Yeah.
yeah,
let me
when it comes.
interject. It was Pastor Ted Haggard in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Anyway,
Yeah,
Now,
back to
if it
this
wasn't their hypocrisy and their denial of a natural, organic human processes and feelings, and them, going against essentially what they preach, and the face they put on for others, the hypocrisy is what's wrong. It's not the behavior. Um, if they do some sort of ethical lapse or whatever, that's fine up to a point. But really, it's just the blatant hypocrisy of working so hard against people who just want to live their lives and get on with their lives and not be judged by people who have no business judging them. And
Yeah, and it's again, it's bizarre because the Bible's like, don't judge, don't do this. So it's like there's just, but this attracts attention to the guy. It's a hot button topic. It's something that's in the zeitgeist. Like, everybody knows that there's somebody homosexual around. You've seen it somewhere. And because the merchandise is freely available, and so it's become accepted into society by and large. And well, that's not good, because that means they're losing their ground. And so they don't know, they need to win some sort of fight, and they think, well, maybe we can win this fight.
Yeah. I'm trying to pin a message. Will somebody please post something in chat so that the fucking little heart icon gets out of the way of pin a message?
Oh, I hate that stupid heart thing. I can't get rid of it. I don't know why that's appeared and how to get rid of it. I don't like it. It's different.
Yeah, it's right over the 3 dots you need in order to moderate,
Yeah,
It's like
when did they add this? We didn't ask for why.
about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, man.
Okay, I want to listen to his client. For some reason, he must have really got me broke,
Exterminate.
because for the next 4 minutes, I think I pinned something every 30 seconds. So let's listen to him, his climate change bit here.
And notice we're very scared. And all of a sudden we have this problem, and this is this issue in Australia, We have this phenomenon, and the child psychologists will tell you about it, where kids are walking out of the classroom, where of course it's all the climate extremist stuff, and they're walking into the psychologist's office, and what are they doing? They've got existential anxiety about the future of the planet. Fear. But here's the thing, and by the way, some of this is just political power, but some of it's genuine, like I just described. But the thing is, there is a deeper anxiety that comes when we throw God out of the picture. Every Babylon, if I could put it that way, has fears for their own security. And I think today we've got this phenomenon where each individual has more fears than at any time in Western history, believe it or not. And I know that because I know that the statistics tell us that this is the most depressed and anxious generation that the West has ever seen.
And the interesting
That doesn't
thing
surprise
is that
me.
when you listen to
Because
these
how
guys,
can you have confidence in anything?
I started him again. When you listen to these guys, that's all they're talking about is doom and gloom and how morals are, corrupted, and this is the worst time ever, and society is collapsing. And now he's complaining because people are upset about climate change.
yeah, this is just all the same kind of bullshit every 10 years that preachers get up to.
It doesn't. It's like, well, simultaneously, you're looking forward to the end of the world, but also you're complaining that people are panicking about the end of the world. Like why not just be like, hey, yeah, the climate change, that's totally real. God's warming it up. We're getting ready for the end times here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Them there atheists, and I gotta have that SpongeBob here. Yeah, destroy, exterminate, can have, whatever, can't help it.
Oh, at the end of every one of his the AIG things, it's always come on down to the Ark and spend some money or donate to us. It's like, it's always,
yeah, but I would love to have the proof of the kids going from the climate change classroom to the shrink. I'd love to see the stats on that. I'm sure he has them, right? Because he said that that's what happens in Australia. So I'm sure he has tons of proof of that, right? Like, that's in the description of the video, right? Like he didn't just say it without any proof, right?
I looked it up. I looked it up, and there was one article that said there has been an increase in kids that are concerned. But when your fucking house is on fire, it's probably a good idea to be a little anxious.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, the forests keep erupting in flames here.
Yeah, I'm just a little anxious.
Not really sure why that's happening,
I
Mom
think
and
I'm going
Dad.
to see the counselor. The planet is on fire. I just looked out at the schoolyard, and the fucking swings are melting.
My friend fell down from heat exhaustion again today.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
That kid and the psychiatrist at the office just blew up because it was so hot. But that's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's not happening.
Well, I mean, I think the problem is in Australia is that they're walking on their hands all the time.
Right.
You know, so all the blood's rushing to their heads. So
yep. It'll be a great South Park episode.
They're upside down.
Yeah. South Park episode where the kid blows up in the counselor's office. That would be all right.
Like literally.
They killed Kenny.
Yeah.
Climate change killed Kenny. Oh my God.
Okay, we're going to move on a little bit here and hear what else he has to say.
When God doesn't exist. How can you have confidence in anything when it's all up to you and your strength and your power and your ability to scream your own identity and make everything else submit to it?
That's an interesting question. In other words,
that's not even a problem.
How can you possibly have confidence in yourself?
Right. How could you possibly do that?
How could you?
Self-worth.
How could you?
Little children, please don't have pride, self-worth, self-esteem. Trust in God.
There is this psychological kind of phenomenon I've had every now and again that's a remnant of my belief, I guess, that where when somebody left, in the car, you'd say a little prayer for them, and then you'd feel like, okay, they're going to come back safe. And now,
me.
Yeah. And then now it's like, as a skeptic, it's like, well, what do I do? It's like, come back safe, sending good vibes. Like none of that. I know none of that works. So there's this comfort that comes from saying some ritualistic thing that you believe will provide protection for people. And I think Freud and maybe other psychologists back, now and again have said, outlined that God was this, now it's been more codified and more understood nowadays that God's a way for us to pretend that we have control of the environment, so that we don't get that existential dread. So maybe there is something in finding some non-magical replacement for that, of how do we then strengthen ourselves, our kids, the future generation, and give them the equipment to know how to self-actualize, so that they know, maybe the tree will fall on you. There's nothing you can do about that, necessarily, maybe you heard it, then you can do something about it, but sometimes things happen you have no control over, and so here's what to do, here's how to deal with that, and
okay, it's grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the fucking wisdom to know the difference. That's what.
Yeah, and you're granting it to yourself. That's more courageous. That power was always you. It was never God. And to take that back and say, I can do this or that, or I can overcome this. I will get through this, and I'm strong enough to do that. I
have a public service announcement here. Nerdy rodent, call me a fucking boomer again, and I'll set a big rat trap for you. I'm a software engineer. Don't think I can't come and get you.
It's exactly what a boomer would say.
Exactly what a boomer would say. Okay. You too. Hey, James.
Neither, guys.
Yeah, so what do you think of this there's some like I'm getting all these mixed messages from these assholes, right?
That's exactly the point I wanted to raise first. There
Yeah.
is nothing that he has said so far that he doesn't also contradict himself about. And I
Right.
haven't seen the rest of the video, but I can tell you right now, I would bet my life on it that every single stand he's going to take in this video is either meaningless or is the opposite of some other stand he takes.
Yep. That's kind of what I got out of it. And but he's very, very artful and in doing it. And he does a very powerful talk, and it's very convincing. And it got 605,000 views. And
Yeah.
this is dangerous. So
It is dangerous. Even the rhetoric about making everything else submit to your identity, his words. And
right.
at first I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? And
Yeah.
then I realized,
Who's
oh, he means everyone else. And this is consistent with their whole dominance hierarchy mindset, where everything about life is about power and about leveraging dominance over other people, right?
Yep.
And so, since that's the core foundational narrative of their worldview, if they don't get to dominate you, then you'll dominate them, and they can't have that, right? They're entitled to dominate you. Your space, what you see, what you're exposed to, what you're not, they're entitled to dominate you with their identity. But if you refuse that, if you have a different presentation, different symbols, even, he talked about that earlier in the video, where they can make you see a cross every day because that's, them putting it in your face, but you wave a pride flag on pride in a pride parade or something, or in your own front yard. Oh, well, those are fighting symbols, right?
Yeah.
Now the game is on, and they've got to challenge you because they feel challenged. And I'm like, the people, they know, right? They have to know. He has to know that when people wear a rainbow or fly a pride flag or something, or have a bumper sticker, they're not saying that it's wrong to be straight. They're just saying it's okay to be not straight. It'd be complicated sexually, right? It's okay, right? That's all they're saying. But when Christians display the cross symbol, they actually are saying it's not okay to be not Christian. So it's a completely different kind of thing. Their symbol is offensive, not because it simply represents what they believe, but because baked into what they believe is the belief that it's not okay to believe differently than them. That your life is worthless, it's meaningless, it's forfeit if you don't join the religion. There's nothing like that baked into the pride flag at all. But he can't see beyond the way that his religion thinks. It's all about dominance and control over other people for him.
Okay,
All
I'm
of
gonna
it.
skip. I'm gonna skip ahead, James. I just want you to listen to this part, and concerning what you just said. So let's listen to this.
Also, this is the clue as to why Babylon, every Babylon, will tolerate many gods. Every Babylon will seem very pluralistic, almost democratic. They won't mind Muslims, they won't mind Hindus, they won't mind atheists, they won't mind all sorts of ideals and philosophies and ideas.
Wow.
But there's one ideal they cannot stand, and it is the belief in the one true and living God, the creator of heaven and earth.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's just all kinds of fucked up. Can I say all kinds on this stream? I'm not sure. I should have asked first. So, oh my gosh! First of all, I love how he says democratic like it's a bad word. Like it's almost like saying socialist, right?
Yeah.
Like come on! Since when are you guys against democracy? And then, but he is against democracy, right? Because he's a totalitarian, authoritarian, uh, religious cultist, right? Like he's not okay with the idea. Now, when he talks about pluralistic gods, right? First, that's actually not common. Like I know I'm well enough versed in other countries, and I've always lived in this one. Man, you hear almost nothing about polytheism in the political arena or in casual discussion with your neighbors or on the news. It's not a thing. I can't even imagine how his worldview is so warped that he's going through life, going to the gas station, going to work, coming home, having conversations, and polytheism keeps coming up. Like, how? And I'm like, and it's like he doesn't even know his own Bible. Dan McClellan has made a point of really driving this point home. There's no monotheism in Bibles. When they talk about their only God, they're talking about the only one that they recognize as sovereign, the only one that they recognize as supreme. And even that idea took a long time to develop. The Hebrews came from the Canaanites. They were a tribe that splintered off from the Canaanites. From them, they took all of their polytheistic deities. And they gradually went towards something closer and closer to monotheism. But monotheism isn't anywhere in the Bible. Now, I
Make-
thought it was.
Make me your God above the other gods.
Yes, absolutely. So if you read a Bible, every single page has polytheism on it. You just
Well-
don't know that.
You also have to kind of go to some extent to translations that don't just have it all God, because the different names of God mean different things, like El Shaddai, and
Right. So
all that. So there's
that's a good
different
example.
different
El
gods.
El was originally the name of the entire pantheon of gods for the Canaanites. They were the El. That was the council of gods. And then later on, El got shifted gradually into like a storm god, for example, right? And then later on, when they created Yahweh, they took parts of El, the storm god, to build him with. So Yahweh is a Frankenstein's monster deity made from parts of old dead gods. And they should realize this, that they would just study their history, but they don't want to.
No, of course, yeah.
And in
That
the
would ruin
meantime-
the theology.
Right. So Dr. Go ahead.
I just want to repeat what he said. Every Babylon, okay, Babylon being a horrible, just disgusting society, will tolerate many gods. Every Babylon will seem very pluralistic, almost democratic. They won't mind Muslims. They won't mind Hindus. They won't mind atheists. The one true God. So what is he saying? The motherfucker is standing up in front of an American audience calling for us to ban atheists, Muslims, any other
Yeah.
religion.
Yes,
He's
he is.
saying this out loud in front of a fucking audience in America. He came from Australia. I'm saying he should be sent back. Deport this motherfucker. This is almost sedition as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this
Sure.
is him saying it out loud. The bigoted fucking one religion sort of thing that we got rid of in 1776, right? They want to go
Right.
back. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, and
Right.
and the Muslims want, similar, or certain, I don't know how many of them, but lots of them want a similar thing where, they want it to be their religion.
Nobody's raising their voice to these son of a bitches. It's just like, God, we have to point this out.
Right. Even Rebecca's not. She's always focused on the atheists. These people never clean house in their own house. They
Yep.
never clean their own room, and they always want to go and tell you how you're supposed to live. When they just don't care about the evils in their own camp. It just doesn't matter to them. In the meantime, Dr. Karakuni, from there's gone on Myth Vision lots of times, has talked about this. The entire point of monotheism is to consolidate power. It's to get everybody on the same page, because if you have more than one God, a pluralistic society, then you have dissenting voices. You have different opinions, right? But if you only have one God, one centralized authority, then there's no room for dissenting voices or a democracy, right? It's just this way or no way. And this is the point of monotheism. It's the reason Christian fundamentalists like monotheism so much, because that's core to their worldview. They live in perpetual fear of being controlled. And so and a sense of entitlement to be able to control others. And so it's constantly a battle with these people. They're never going to be at peace with themselves or with the rest of the world around them, because they think everybody's out to get them. And so they need to fight back by consolidating power under one theme of a god in order to be able to mount an appropriate offense to be able to dominate society. That's what all of this is about for him.
And God's solution to Babylon, the tower, at any rate, was to confuse the language so that the people could not unify and work together. But now he's saying, well, we got to unify and work together, and not tolerate all this other stuff that's not ours. I'm like, well, you know, I don't know, man. It seems like you're going against what God wanted there.
Right.
You know,
Oh.
you're building up a giant tower to reach to God. Anyways, hey, answers. I sent you an email. Modified the guy talking there. Don't know if it's appropriate to show or not, but you can decide for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. Oh my goodness.
You know, it's interesting. Dick Converted Man in the private chat here wrote, proof of kids going from climate change education to shrink. And I almost spoke up about that too. Like, he keeps saying things are happening in the world around here, you know, because of different reasons. But
Oh yeah. It's just say things without any proof at all.
Is that true? I mean, is that really happening?
No, of course not.
Well, I don't know. Kids, sensitive kids, hearing doom and gloom about climate change might need some reassuring voices to talk to and ways to cope with it.
I don't know. I see pillars. I don't know. I just see pillars.
It's like Samson, his hair's about to grow back.
Oh no. Okay, this is a photo they would only show in Babylon. You know, I mean, only Babylon. He's
Exterminate.
Yeah, we just proved his point.
Oh well.
Oh well. Oh,
now this is getting demonetized.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're not monetizing.
You're getting canceled. That's it. You're off YouTube.
Canceled a long time. My mom canceled me when I was about 4. My dad concurred. It's like, get rid of that little fuck. There's something wrong with that boy. Anyway.
Back to this. Does he have any actual arguments at all that I can analyze? Or is he just saying shit?
Okay,
He's making assertions that don't seem to be based on any
let's listen to this.
articles or data or studies or anything. Like
Okay, yeah, no argument. Got it.
I think he's still going on about climate change, and I kind of want to get to a certain part. So let's listen to a minute or so.
That doesn't surprise me. Because how can you have confidence in anything when God doesn't exist? How can you have confidence in anything when it's all up to you and your strength and your power and your ability to scream your own identity and make everything else submit to it? Of course you're afraid.
Dumb thing to say, dude.
Problems. Of course Babylon is scared. And we have no confidence in anything deep down today. And although we are proud, we are afraid. Another feature we learn from Babel is that Babylon is in competition with God. And you think to yourself, gosh, how could that be? It's interesting, every time one of these Babylon systems is judged in the Bible, whether that be in Revelation, whether it be in Isaiah, I think it's 14, where God speaks a judgment against the king of Babylon, or whether it be what God says to Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel, and I think it's in chapter 4, any one of these places, you will see the same language. God will say something along the lines of, your sins have reached heaven, and or you have made yourself like the Most High. And here in Babel, what happens? They're building a tower, which is a monument to their pride and their rebellion. And where's it reaching? Heaven. And what this is telling us is that these people are so proud and so rebellious that they're now trying to get inside God's jurisdiction. In other words, they're trying to do stuff that's God's job. They're trying to do stuff that is God's job. Let me explain what I mean by that with examples.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way. What is it that unites critical race theory, radical climate politics, the Pride movement, abortion, radical feminism, euthanasia, transgenderism, and so many other things in this category of concerns that we have about the ideologies of our day? What is it that unites those things? Because something does unite them. I put it to you that all of them are competing with God's authority as creator.
What?
That's a stretch.
Wait, what?
This guy must be Mr. Fantastic or something, as much as he can stretch
The
and stretch and stretch a point.
the only thing uniting all those desperate, you'd say, well, he said it. He said ideology. It's like, yeah, that's the only thing that you could cast upon those wide variety of things that he mentioned. They're all different variants of ideologies, of different ideas, different approaches to things, and some better than others, some worse than others. Some may be valid, some may be invalid. Whatever. It depends
Yeah,
on
but
what you look at. There's nuances there. There's a lot to, whatever. But
here's the double speak. Here's the fucking double speak. Those things that he mentioned are the very things that the Conservative Party is losing their fucking shit over, right? Those are the things that they're pushing against. So I mean, if these are the ideologies that are being put forth to challenge God, who is putting forth the most noise about fucking trans, LGBTQ, climate change? It's the fucking conservative Republican Party. You see what I mean? I mean, they're the ones that are losing their shit over these issues. They've made them political issues. They're after legislation that will basically control all of these things. And I don't know. I mean, like climate change, yeah, right. We want legislation basically to put a cap on it, right? But they want legislation to tell women that they can't have abortions, to tell people that euthanasia has got to be illegal, right? For terminal cancer patients and all of that. I just see it as doublespeak. I mean, what the fuck is he saying?
I don't comprehend how you could logically be in competition with anything that has infinite power. I mean, there's no competition. There is no competition because that thing would always win. There isn't anything that would be able to withstand that. That's just
Yeah, at some point here, he says something on the order of man can't man can't change the climate, only God can, and God's going to do it when he wants to.
well. How does he know that God isn't using man to change the climate? Like,
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
Yeah, and it's just an absurd statement. Does he not know that there's a thing called chemistry? Did he never take a chemistry class?
He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer, probably not.
Physics class, we know the processes.
Yep.
And what we don't know, we can hypothesize pretty closely.
Right. So where's he even drawing the line on that? Because surely he knows, even if he thinks the climate change thing's a hoax or misunderstood.
Well,
Surely
what
he
this
knows.
is-
Go ahead.
What this is exactly what Mike had portrayed earlier with the two pink pillars. That's what he's doing with his audience and himself. It's just this kind of group masturbatory of man, the world's screwed up and we have it together and we are right. And it's just this make me feel good, make me feel good, make me feel good kind of gathering.
yeah, this will change the idea of, I'm against X, Y, and Z, but rather than making any kind of coherent argument against those things, I'm going to say all those things are actually against God. And so now this has become a matter of our God versus these ideas. And now you have absolutely no argument other than the appeal to authority of God and say, our God says all these things are wrong. It's like, oh, that's nice. What's your argument? You don't have one anymore. So this actually weakens any position that one might take against any of these issues. So if he really actually cared about negating any of these issues, he wouldn't be attributing them to be against God, because that's just going to weaken. That just negates any possible argument that you would have, because then the only argument is, well, God doesn't like it. Be like, well, wait a minute, where does it say that in the Bible? Well, it doesn't. This guy said it. Oh, okay. So it and then theologically there'd be no way to underpin it. So this is an ultimately self-defeating thing that sounds good in the moment, but it can't last beyond this as it maybe as a meme for a little bit, but I don't see this as a winning strategy. But then again, I could be wrong because humans are weird. So
Yep.
Here's a definition of the word polemic. Speech or piece of writing expressing a strongly critical attitude on or controversial opinion about someone or something. So that's what he's doing. He's polemicizing. And that's all this is. He's saying they're bad, but we're good, dudes. We got it right if you do it my way.
this is against God, and you don't want to be against God.
I thought there was something in the
Right.
Bible that was against polemicizing, but I can't. I'm not sure. There should be. Should be
See,
something. But
that is one of the bugs of the system of having a static source like the Bible is it didn't update for all these modern issues.
Right.
You know, it's not a living. There's even a living Bible or the living Word or whatever it was. It's like no, it's not. It's dead. It's static. It doesn't change. It doesn't update. And so it can't possibly tackle modern issues. So you don't. And then you're left with nitwits like this. It's like, well, I'm just going to say it's against God. Well, where's your argument for that? At least make some sort of theological argument. Just stop to assert it. Come on, stop being late.
Right. Think of how unreasonable that is. Think of how many Christians there are in the world that recognize that climate change is a thing and that we're causing it, and that abortion should be legal, and that euthanasia should be legal, and every single issue he's listing there. There are more Christians on the other side of that fence than there are of his.
yeah, and
So for him to frame, go ahead.
that's what's really getting to them, right? That they're not the majority,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
they are the majority noise. I mean, if you go to YouTube and you just listen to a bunch of Christian videos, you're not going to hear a whole lot of Christians on the other side talking, even though they are the majority. You're going to hear these motherfuckers, right?
Right.
That's
yeah,
what comes.
that is a strange phenomenon. That it's like I was thinking about the somebody. I think this was because James, you did a video and I was commenting as I was listening. That, they're not afraid of the deists because they kind of think, well, it just takes one more extra thought to make a deist into a theist. So I'm not really worried about them. I'm worried about the people that are saying that I have magical thinking and that I believe in magic. Those are the people that I'm scared of, and that's why they go after the
Yeah.
atheist, because it's a
Yeah.
common enemy. And so here he's just using all these kind of like topics that are in the zeitgeist that people in the audience, his audience, might be familiar with, afraid of, uncertain about, and saying all those things are against, those are trying to take God's place. Well, okay, well, isn't that what you would expect if the end times are coming? Like, shouldn't that be something you celebrate then? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what?
So
Yeah,
James,
the end
Right.
times, hooray!
James, I think I cut you off. Did you want to complete a thought here,
I don't remember.
or did I fucked it up?
I
I'm
blame myself.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I
listen.
gotta go though.
Oh, you
Thanks,
do.
guys.
All right.
Yeah,
Peace.
sorry.
Fuck
Peace
you
out.
go.
See you, DC.
All right, later, guys. Finn.
Oh,
I'm at
clock
DM.
him out. Okay. Don't forget to punch his time card out because we're not going to pay him if he's not here. Okay. Okay. 3 of us. Okay, so let's listen a little more, and I'll try not to cut you off next time, James.
But see, once we get rid of God and we look at our external differences, we say, oh dear, there's more than one race. And now we've got ourselves into this horrendous position where we think that our shared humanity is so limited that we are actually unable to stop oppressing one another, and there is no solution. And I tell you, you read any book on critical race theory and that kind of thing by people like Robin DiAngelo, and that's what they teach. There's no ultimate solution. Now that is a lie.
What do you think of that? I'm not familiar enough with the whole controversy, but I don't know. Stephanie.
So,
Oh.
yeah, Stephanie back, yeah.
Yeah.
She okay. You go ahead and let her in because every time I click, you
I
click.
know.
All right.
Stephanie.
Robin DiAngelo wrote White Fragility, and I listened to it like 1 week when I was on the road a lot, and she just addressed the problem that basically when you acknowledge African Americans and their rights and their the imbalances in our society because of slavery and racism, white people go ape shit, and they're very fragile when it emotionally when dealing with it. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
How's it going?
Okay.
It's hot here.
We're just anti-polemicizing.
Yeah,
what is it normally?
Well, I've seen a fair amount of this, as I said in the chat. A customer came by to pick up his sales, and after loading them in the car, he allowed us to how he wanted to ask a personal question, and he allowed us to how his daughter has come out as trans, and
wow,
he's very supportive, and he wanted my takes on that sort of thing, and we had a really good discussion.
Very cool.
That's
so. What is the heat normally like on average, and then what's the heat been like in the past week?
Oh, it's usually in the mid 70s, and now it's in the high 80s right now, and then it's supposed to go back to the mid 70s. So.
Yeah,
it's not in the hundreds.
We're having unusual cold in July in Minnesota for some reason. Got to be 39 degrees up north when I was up there last week.
Ooh.
Like, what the hell? And now it's going up in close to 100 next week. It's just all over the place. We're not getting any rain. It's just a mess. Okay, let's listen to this tosser and see what else he's got to say here.
Tosser. I like that word.
Tosser, yeah. I think it's an English thing. I'm not sure. We got some.
Yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead, James. James?
James, you there?
Hello? Hello, hello?
Hello, hello.
You were starting to say something.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say he's a word salad tosser.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Tosser, I'd agree with. That's for sure.
Right. I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
I see what you did. Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
I'm going to hit the heart over here on the side chat because of that.
Yep.
The reality is, it's not that the planet hasn't ended yet, because we haven't destroyed it yet. The planet hasn't ended yet, because God's not done with it yet.
There you go. There you go. That's his solution to climate change. God is going to roast us in God's good time. I mean, what the fuck? That was.
How does he know it's not God's good time? Maybe
God will undoubtedly command some chosen human to build a cold storage warehouse for his family,
right,
and
right.
all of the creatures of Earth, so they can survive the time of extreme temperature.
Well, they're going to rapture them up into the upper atmosphere where it's about 65 degrees below zero. So they'll be fine.
Yeah. Guy's name is going to be Noah or something.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I thought that part was pretty significant. And what else we got here? 14:16. So I guess in 14 seconds, I found something else that pissed me off.
Simple as that. Genesis 8, as I said, seed time and harvest, cold and winter, summer, day and night, cold and winter, etc., shall not cease so long as the earth remains. It's in God's hands.
The reason why we have all those things is because we're on a sort of like a spherical planet that's kind of tilted, and it's going around the sun. And spinning. That's why we have seasons, and that's why they're regular. And nobody's saying that we won't have winter, spring, summer, and fall. It's just that they'll all be, above 100 degrees, or I'm exaggerating, but they'll all be higher on average.
Yeah, but the reason the Earth is tilted in the first place is because God gave it a good swift kick.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. This is a bookmark.
One preacher who says, this is a bit cheeky, but if you think we're messing up the planet now, you wait till you see what Jesus does with it when he gets back.
Oh, okay. Wait till your daddy gets home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. 1416, and at 1513, we got something else.
For ourselves in these rebellions, just like Babel tried to build a city to secure themselves in their rebellion. I mean, bluntly, how can we behave sexually the way that we do? Because of the sexual health clinics, right? It's technology.
Wow.
You hear that one?
Listen, I hope this guy never winds up with gonorrhea. Yep.
The sexual health clinics are fucking screwing our morality up, man, because there's oh my God.
Let's go yeah, all right. So don't be healthy, just accept that crotchet you've got there. But it's like, the gold bond's not gonna help you there, buddy.
The reason we're smoking so much dope is because of all that cancer treatment. It keeps us it keeps us from getting cancer from the dope, and that, I don't know. We got to stop medicine, stop sexual health clinics. Good job.
Enterprise. How is it that they keep up this lie about gender identity and that your gender is who you are in your head? Because of the education system that's indoctrinating young people. The systems and the powers of our day are securing ourselves in a rebellion against God himself. And that was Babel's sin. And that's what we learn in, oh, by the way.
That is an impressive picture, you got to admit. That is a nice backdrop. Good job.
This is the teaching of the whole Bible. Romans 1 says this. It says that we worship and serve the creature rather than the Creator, who's blessed forever, and we seek to put ourselves in his place. That's why Paul uses the sexuality example next, because he says we want to rewrite God's laws, God's rules, God's creation mandate. So it's the teaching of the whole Bible, and also this is the clue as to why Babylon, every Babylon, will tolerate many gods. Every Babylon will seem very pluralistic, almost democratic. They won't mind Muslims, they won't mind Hindus, they won't mind atheists, they won't mind all sorts of ideals and philosophies and ideas.
This is where the genocide begins.
Cannot stand. And it is the belief in the one true and living God, the creator of heaven and earth. That's what they can't stand.
The one true God. No, Jesus Christ. Oh, did I say Jesus Christ? Yeah, that little piece really, really alarms me. That he would say that out loud. Basically, he's calling for the suppression of any other belief system other than his. That's what he's calling for. And I don't know how he intends to get that. He's going to get his crowd riled up, his 620,000 viewers, and maybe they'll go out and vote in a theocracy. I don't know what he's got planned. Anyway, then I jumped way ahead. I've only got a few more bookmarks. He goes on and on about Babylon and Daniel or something, and how Daniel handled, I don't know, something. I don't know much about the Bible. But
Mishael means who is like God.
Oh, my name's Michael, who is like God. I don't know if you knew that that's what it meant, but anyway, I don't know what he's talking about exactly. I just wanted to point that out. And
you are very godlike, Speed.
I am God. I am actually God. The whole Buddhist thing is when you become enlightened, you realize that you are God. And when I was like 24 years old, the first time I got into treatment for alcoholism, I was in an encounter group, and I told my counselor that basically I am God. And so for the rest of my 30 days in treatment, they called me Jesus Christ. That was pretty cool. They thought it was funny.
Tatvamasi, man. There you go.
It was like a bar, and it was called Seen, S-E-E-N.
Oh.
And the marketing slogan was sin and be seen. It's extraordinary. That bar was not trying to repel people. They fully understood their Western clientele, and they wanted to entice them in.
Yeah, and if it weren't for the concepts of sin, yeah, I mean, if it weren't for the Christians sticking this shit in our face all the time, sin wouldn't be such a fun thing for people to do, right? I mean, this idea of forbiddenness that the Christians have, the whole purpose of forbiddenness, the whole reason to cover up our bodies is to make it more alluring when we take our clothes off. And I don't know why they don't get that. But anyway, that's about all the bookmarks I got on this guy. So I don't know. I find it very disturbing. I find this whole talk disturbing. I'm going to listen. He's got a channel too. I'm going to listen to some more of his garbage, I guess, at some point. Yep. It is a little scary. Captive Desk. Oh, yeah. Captive Desk has a stream at 3 with Doc Dino. Okay. Have to get to that.
Yeah, it is incredibly disturbing that these channels are as big as they are, that they have as much of a following as they do, that this stuff is being pumped out into public discourse at fire hose speed, and it's doing real damage to any kind of notion of multiculturalism and acceptance in a multicultural society. It's whether you're talking about Australia, which or the United States, or the UK, or
well,
it's really, really bad right now, and people better. And it's all of a piece. It's like Orban in Hungary. It's the cult of Trump here, or for that matter, DeSantis. Woke. He's got the wokey doke going on, and it's driving me fucking nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, the word multiculturalism, that word in their hearts is a very dirty word and something to really be fearful of. And
but it's a dirty word that they try to turn into a dirty word. And if it doesn't work, they come up with something else. Woke, politically correct. I don't know. Whatever the phrase du jour is. Yeah. And what it boils down to is nothing aside from white Christian nationalism is acceptable, aka fascism. They're using this to institute a system of governance that refuses to acknowledge the fact that there are black people, there are Asian people, there are African people, there are Asian people, there are indigenous people, there are people within our cohort, us white folk, who are different, who are not the same, who have different perspectives on stuff, and those perspectives are not to be tolerated. They're fundamentally intolerant people.
Yeah, and
it's getting to the point that unless people who see beyond that particular and look into broader viewpoints and are accepting of broader views, it's getting to the point where that viewpoint has to be rejected. It wasn't rejected in 1930s Germany, and it didn't work out well.
Yeah, I know. And more of the double speak is, okay, he's talking about how all this talk of climate change and gender identity is upsetting the kids, right? We're making the kids fearful, and they're going. But what is he doing with his entire message about Babylon to his audience? He's trying to make them fearful that there is this horrible time in history that we are upon, where we are turning into Babylon and we are reaching up and competing with God, and he's nothing but fear-mongering. He's doing what he is complaining about. and then he puts it on, oh, climate change is concerning kids. Well, if the fucking planet's on fire, they should be concerned.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. What do you think this rhetoric does to a kid who is different? You want to talk about being fearful. The person who's fearful is this fellow. He's fearful of confronting the notion that people are different.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to change the fact that people are different and have different ideas. That's not changing. What he wants to do is litigate it so that those people who are different don't have an opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, we could
If you don't think that a trans kid, and they do exist, I was one, isn't fearful of this kind of education in God's will, then you don't understand what it's like to suffer at the hands of people who say you can't exist.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was talking about this chat I had, fireside chat I had with a friend of mine who's happens to be gay, and he was talking about his entire life. Basically, he's had to fight who he is, and he's tired of it, and he just wants people to leave him the hell alone. Just stop. Leave us alone. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be talking about this stuff. But I have a father, a caring father of a college student who came out as trans, picking up his sales, and he's concerned not about his love for his child, but about the travails his child is going to have to face in society the way it is today. And what I told him is, the small number of people who are trans are not enough to shift the perceptions of society or shift the discourse. But you are, your friends are, my friends are who aren't trans. Those are the people we need help from.
Yeah.
We need the people of Florida to not ignore what's happening.
Yep.
And to change the direction that is being propounded by these people, and well funded. You don't think this guy, he's got how many subbies? He's making a living preaching this shit.
Oh, he works for AIG, and I bet he's making.
He works for AIG, and the money coming in. I mean, this channel, I'm sure, is well monetized. With that many subbies, he's got to be making some good coin.
I looked up AIG's budget one time, and it was like ridiculously high, because they're non-tax, right, or non-profit, so they have to report. AIG state budget. I can't. I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, I should look that up again, because it was in the hundreds of millions, I think. I mean, there's a ridiculous amount of money these organizations are putting behind it. I mean, I'm guessing his suit was pretty expensive. The one he's wearing. And that backdrop. I mean, did you see the size of that backdrop? That had to cost a little money. I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, the coin in the right-wing grift market is pretty damn high. It's astonishingly high.
Yep.
And there's nothing comparable.
Lena's here.
And their rhetoric is so effective that many ostensible allies will pick up on one little element, because that one element is something that appeals to their lizard brain. It's like, well, I'm I'm all for Black Lives Matter, but
Yeah. Yep.
rioting's terrible, and and as if and people who will talk about Dr. King as being some sort of secular saint these days. He had like a 27% approval rating back in the day, and he was assassinated.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here.
There was a guy on, let's see, was it Dr. McDonald? And he was talking about how he turned away from fundamentalism the day Martin Luther King was assassinated because the group of people that he was with in some auditorium cheered when they heard he was assassinated. And that sort of did it for him. Did Scott, remember we watched that video? I sent it to you yesterday.
Dennis McDonald, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For all you youngins out there, I urge you. I'm not a big fan of RFK Jr., but the original, the OG, gave a speech in, I believe it was Cleveland, Ohio. And it was totally impromptu, and it's out there. You can find it. It's totally impromptu, speaking to an audience of all, a mixed audience, but predominantly black folk in Cleveland. And it was profoundly moving. 1968 was not, it kind of times, it was times like these. There was tremendous social tumult. To the point where major political figures, including, May, June, and 2 months later, Kennedy himself, assassinated. But that speech was.
Would you like to hear that? It's 2 minutes and 53 seconds, that one?
It's very short.
Yep. Yeah, we got it right here. Let's see. Yeah, I can watch it on YouTube.
What has violence ever accomplished? What has it ever created? No martyr's cause has ever been stilled by an assassin's bullet. No wrongs have ever been righted by riots and civil disorders. A sniper is only a coward, not a hero. And an uncontrolled or uncontrollable mob is only the voice of madness, not the voice of the people. Among free men, said Abraham Lincoln, there can be no successful appeal from the ballot to the bullet. And those who take such appeal are sure to lose their case and pay the cost. Violence breeds violence. Repression breeds retaliation. And only a cleansing of our whole society can remove this sickness from our souls. For there is another kind of violence, slower, but just as deadly destructive as the shot or the bomb in the night. This is the violence of institutions, indifference, inaction, and decay. This is the violence that afflicts the poor, that poisons relations between men because their skin is different colors. This is the slow destruction of a child by hunger, and schools without books, and homes without heat in the winter. This is the breaking of a man's spirit by denying him the chance to stand as a father and as a man amongst other men. But we can perhaps remember, if only for a time, that those who live with us are our brothers, and surely we can begin to work a little harder to bind up the wounds among us and to become in our hearts brothers and countrymen once again.
2 months and 1 day later, he was assassinated after that speech, right? Just 2 months.
Yeah, people don't speech write like that anymore, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing.
I'm not sure that was the talk I was thinking of.
Okay. See if you can find it.
But-
Mindless Menace of Violence.
Yeah, let me
Find another one.
hold on. I got this.
Cleveland City Club, that one was. Let's see, remarks.
No,
Another one. Mindless Menace. That's the one that keeps
Robert
coming.
Kennedy announces King's assassination is what I'm thinking.
Okay. Okay. Let's listen to that one. That's pretty moving too.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of because it was not written. It was delivered extemporaneously. It begins. I have bad news for you, for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. Oh,
Let's see. Oh God. Historic call for peace. Is this the one?
Do they know about Martin Luther King?
We have left up the envelope that can be handled.
Could you lower those signs, please? I have some very sad news for all of you, and that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis. Martin Luther King dedicated his life to love and to justice between fellow human beings. He died in the cause of that effort. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it's perhaps well to ask what kind of a nation we are and what direction we want to move in. For those of you who are black, considering the evidence evidently is that there were white people who were responsible, you can be filled with bitterness and with hatred and a desire for revenge. We can move in that direction as a country, in greater polarization, black people amongst blacks and white amongst whites, filled with hatred toward one another. Or we can make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and replace that violence, that stain of bloodshed that is spread across our land, with an effort to understand compassion and love. For those of you who are black and are tempted to be filled with hatred and mistrust of the injustice of such an act against all white people, I would only say that I can also feel in my own heart the same kind of feeling. I had a member of my family killed, but he was killed by a white man. But we have to make an effort in the United States. We have to make an effort to understand, to get beyond or go beyond these rather difficult times. My favorite poem, my favorite poet was Aeschylus. And he once wrote, "Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God." What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred. What we need in the United States is not violence and lawlessness, but is love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black. We can do well in this country. We will have difficult times. We've had difficult times in the past, but we will have difficult times in the future. It is not the end of violence. It is not the end of lawlessness, and it's not the end of disorder. But the vast majority of white people and the vast majority of black people in this country want to live together, want to improve the quality of our life, and want justice for all human beings that abide in our land. And what dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. Let us dedicate ourselves to that and say a prayer for our country and for our people. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, Lena, this guy went on to be assassinated on the 4th of June, 1968.
2 months later. Yeah. Yeah. This speech was one day before the one I played, just played earlier. So it was 2 months.
No, Lena, this guy as Attorney General sent in troops.
Yeah.
To battle Bull Connor in Selma, Alabama.
I think
protect the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and Dr. King.
He was
the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
He was behind the civil rights movement, I believe, and he's the one that basically he was a thorn in JFK's side, basically, to get it done. That's one of the reasons.
Yes, he was.
Yep.
So, and mind you, that address was, he had learned of King's assassination minutes before speaking. He ripped up what he was going to say and did that entirely extemporaneously.
Yeah. So the night that he was assassinated, I was what was I, about 16 years old. Me and my friend Mac heard it on a radio we had in my room. We were upstairs talking philosophy or something, and he cried. I mean, I remember that shit.
Yeah, I mean, we boomers do have memories of an equally divisive time in our country's politics. And to this day, that speech brings tears to my eyes.
Yep.
For what was lost.
Yeah.
Because the winner of the 1968 election was one Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Yep. There's that. And then we got, what did we get from him? The war on drugs. Oh my God. Yep. And probably the first time the veil was pulled up on political corruption. So we do owe that to Nixon. I mean, he was the first one.
Yeah, but we had a functioning, the elements within his own party were unwilling to go down the full-ass totalitarian scale that Nixon represented, and we don't have that today. By which sense, I think, is we're at a more perilous. We live in more perilous times than even then.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm old and tired.
Me too.
but I remember, and people should remember that uh, it, that voices of hope can um, make a difference. Voices of hope can make a difference if they're determined to be heard.
You know, there was like I remember the day that JFK was assassinated. I remember the day he was elected. That gentleman that I was talking with around the fire, he and his brothers and I watched the election of JFK. And I remember the day my teacher walked in and announced that JFK had been killed. And then I remember the moment that RFK was killed. And I remember rising up in our youth in the 60s and having this great fire inside of us and this hope, that we were going to make a change. What the fuck happened to our generation, Stephanie? I mean, how did
I'll tell that you. It's funny you raise that issue because there are folks like you and I who remember those days, who maybe were in the streets in 1969 of Washington D.C. looking at the military of the country with M16 rifles on the top of every government building while 500,000 people marched through the streets to demand an end to the Vietnam War. And what happened to our generation is that we ignored the possibility that people within our own cohort had views that were fundamentally opposed to our own.
right?
And they won.
But I think some of the
For we, to our discredit, we got sleepy on the people who were the young Americans for freedom back in the day, who were the Nixon supporters back in the day. We got sleepy on those people because we thought that we've won on Griswold, we've won on cultural issues and blah blah blah, and we had for a time, but the conservatives had played the long game, and they're winning now.
yeah.
And I would warn generations people who are younger than we, that you have to deal with Matt Walsh. You have to deal with this fuckface from Australia whose stuff is out there. I mean, the man can't be out of his 30s, right? Yeah. There are people within, there's this myth somehow or another that once the olds all die, everything's going to be better. Well, it won't be, because as long as you've got the Ben Shapiro's and I don't know, pick a YouTube influencer on the right. These people have millions of followers, and they're influencing your contemporaries. And until the change is culture wide and politics wide, until there's a real commitment to changing the narrative, you're not safe. You won't be safe.
Yeah.
That's my.
Sorry.
So the words of Hunter S. Thompson here in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, we had all the momentum. We were riding the crest of a high and beautiful wave. It goes on to say that less than 5 years later, if you go up a steep hill in Las Vegas and look west, you can almost see the high water mark, the place where the wave finally broke and rolled back. That is the most profound paragraph about the 60s. And I think it was more than that, Stephanie. There were people that had the fire and the fucking fire went out. I have peers who
That's true.
turned conservative, right? I did myself in my middle years, not to the degree that that it stank, but I turned a little bit, and then and now I've turned way back. But I mean, it was just like the fire went out, the wave hit the wall and rolled back and rolled back upon us. Hi, Chris.
What? Hello. One of the things that is a little bit disconcerting, and I'm still feeling it, like personally, is that probably my generation and Gen Z is just going to not sleep at the wheel, but just going to be apathetic to
Right.
the whole thing. Like I just uh, saw well a video uh, about Oppenheimer, and unintentionally, it explains like uh, the how the rise of technological supremacy of the United States. Like I'm Canadian, so it's somewhat adjacent to that, but still, and it's because of the fascist policies of Hitler of basically kicking out the Jews at the time that were coincidentally at the top of the fields of physics, chemistry, and even biology to a certain sense, and probably astrology at the time. Anyhow, those guys got kicked out and went to the United Kingdom and the U.S. ultimately as basically valued refugees, but still. And because of the brain drain from Germany that happened, coincidentally, the United States had the opportunity to be a technological superpower all up until today, till today. Basically, that's one of the things, and that's why people like Oppenheimer are important into world history, even though he's just being discovered right now. Because if it weren't for those guys, there would be no NASA, no
Right.
basically, yeah, well, I would say the APA, Environmental Protection Services, in a way, but or anyhow that subsection of the government. But without that brain fart from the Nazis, right? The
Werner
U.S.
von
wouldn't.
Braun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the chain reaction is that it wouldn't happen. But now, happening is that the uh, the opposite is happening. Is that Christian fundamentalists and now I'm actually starting to realize that Canada is also infected with this brain rot, is spooking away scientists, and as North America, we're experiencing a brain drain right now because scientists that can't get the funding or whatever, and they've built their life's work on all this shit. Do they think they're just gonna walk up on something else? No, they're just gonna leave
Yeah.
and go for greener pastures. It's not.
I've
It's not
heard,
like a business, you know. It's not
I've heard
like
that
a. Sorry,
we have
sorry.
a deficit of like 3 million programmers in this country right now, and a lot fewer kids are going into engineering and the sciences and whatever. But anyway, I've got to get going. I've got an appointment at 1 o'clock. So
Yeah. Anyhow,
yeah.
sorry. Just wanted to quickly just jump in
No,
on
that's
this thing.
fine. That's a good comment. Yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to watching that film when it comes out. Oppenheimer.
Anyway, the video that I'm referring to is I think it's how the U.S. betrayed Oppenheimer by the channel Spectacles. Anyway, so
Oh.
yeah, that's the documentary. It's like a 40-minute long, but there's like sections, and you can see like how he inadvertently explains how basically the U.S. got to the technological superiority and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So anyhow, just putting that out there, and yeah, so yeah, I said my piece, and I'm going to shut up and just
Okay.
all
Yep.
right.
Anyway, thanks, guys. Stephanie and Chris.
Thanks for having me on. Speed.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
And we had a little discussion, I don't know, a few months back, and basically, I think you were asking me to light the fire a little bit, and I'm trying to, because
I appreciate it. It does. It's not unappreciated. I really appreciate everything you're doing.
okay, we're gonna shoot her in the head. So,
Bye.
yep. Goodbye, cruel world.